Hey everybody, you're watching Ready Set Drone, and today I'm here to tell you 12 things about the Mavic Air that you might not know, so stay tuned. So I know there are a lot of videos out there about the DJI Mavic Air already, including several that I've done, but I'm here today to tell you some things that I've learned through flying this drone over the last couple of weeks that I didn't know when I first started. And if you already know some of these, that's great, but hopefully there's one or two in here that you don't know, and it will make this worth watching. And for everybody who is thinking, oh, he's just a fanboy and he's just going to say great things about the Mavic Air, I'm going to start with 3 things I don't like about this drone and share those things that you might not know. Number 1, the Mavic Air does not use OcuSync or LightBridge. This drone uses enhanced Wi-Fi. Now, what does that mean to the average flyer? It means a shorter distance, what I think is probably a little bit less reliable video signal, and you can't fly this drone natively with the DJI goggles, which you can with the Mavic Pro and the Mavic Pro Platinum, which is an amazing experience. You can fly it with the goggles using a cable, but it's just not quite the same as being able to fly the Mavic Pro without any sort of cable, just over OcuSync. Number 2 has to do with how you charge the battery. I've been asked several times if you can charge the battery using the USB-C connector, which is right here in the back. And to the best of my experience, and having tried it a couple times, you can't. And that's kind of a bummer, because it would be really nice to just plug this straight into a USB-C cable and charge the battery without having to take the battery off or connect it to a charging station. I believe you can charge the Spark using the USB connector directly on the drone without removing the battery. So that seems like a bit of a miss to me on the DJI Mavic Air. So the number 3 thing that you might not know is this quad is actually pretty loud. I've been used to flying my DJI Mavic Pro Platinum, which is very quiet compared to this. And so when I first got this out and took it for a flight, I was pretty shocked at how loud it was for such a small quad. We actually did a video of a sound comparison between the Mavic Pro Platinum, and this, if you want to check it out. So now I'm going to switch over to some things that I find more neutral about the Mavic Air. Things that aren't really positives or negatives, they're just facts about it that I found interesting. Number 1 is why they chose rigid propellers instead of foldable propellers like on the Mavic or the Spark. And the answer I was given is that rigid propellers actually provide longer flight times. I suppose that's true, and it would be interesting to see if they eventually come out with some foldable propellers, but I will say that the flight time on this for its size is pretty decent, and that these propellers actually don't get in the way when you're folding it up. So it's really not a big deal. I just thought it was an interesting fact that they put rigid instead of foldable. The next thing that I consider to be sort of a neutral is that the camera is fixed focus. It doesn't have tap to focus like the DJI Mavic Pro. That means that pretty much everything is in focus as you're flying, like a GoPro or like the Spark. That can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing. Good that you're not going to get footage that ends up being out of focus because you forgot to tap to focus or didn't look down. But bad because you can't really get that shallow depth of field, blurry background kind of look. So I consider it kind of a wash. If you're going for shallow depth of field, you're going to want something better camera anyway. But if you just want everything to be in focus and to get a really pretty shot of scenery or something, fixed focus is really good. The next thing that I consider to be sort of a neutral point is that they chose to do the flame red quad glossy, but the black and white are matte. So if you're buying one or the other and you've seen the red one and you're expecting the black or white to be glossy, they're not. Or if you buy the black or white and then you get the red and you think it's going to be matte, it's not. All right, so I've kind of gone through the negative things about it and also sort of the neutral little facts about it. Now let's get into the more interesting positive things about the DJI Mavic Air. Number 1 that I didn't know at first is that these little landing gear arms that come down so that you can take off and land are actually antennas. They have antennas hidden inside them, and the reason they're in this is so that they can be as far away from the body and all the interference of the drone as possible. So way out here on the end of the arm actually is a very efficient place to put an antenna. Plus, it looks really cool, and it serves the purpose of helping you land and not dinging your gimbal or your camera when you do. So the next thing I'm going to tell you about that I think is positive is the indicator to tell you that you haven't got your battery on all the way. I know with the Spark there have been some issues where the battery wasn't fully connected and may have died or fallen off, but with the Mavic Pro Air you actually don't have that problem because there are two little indicators on the side that are red. So when you put the battery on, you shouldn't see any red because both those should click down. And if there is a problem with the battery connection, the app will actually tell you so and won't let you take off. So that's pretty cool. So the next thing I really like is the camera that gives you 120 frames at 1080p, which gives you awesome slow motion. The Mavic Pro actually had 96 frames at 1080p, which is good slow motion, but 120 frames per second is about 4x slow motion, whereas 96 is about 3x slow motion. So you can get even slower, smoother footage if you're trying to capture something. This thing will top out at 41 miles per hour in sport mode, and that is faster than the Spark, and it's faster than the Mavic Pro and the Mavic Pro Platinum. Now it's not as fast as the Phantom 4 Pro, but it's close. And for something this small to go that fast, it is really fun to fly. With the Spark, it was designed to actually take off and land in your hand. This one was not designed to do so, but what I'm going to tell you is that it can be done, and it's actually pretty easy to do. I've landed it in my hand multiple times now just to see if I could do it, and also thinking that if I was ever in a situation where I needed to land or take off without having access to a smooth, flat place, like on the side of a mountain or on a boat or something like that, knowing that you can hand launch it and hand land it is very good to know. One thing I will say is just be cautious, especially if you don't have the prop guards on, but there's a nice big surface here on the bottom, and when it comes down, it'll sit nice and flat on your hand. It will basically start to come down, it'll see your hand, and sensor will tell it not to land, but if you keep pushing down on the stick, it will, after a few seconds, come and land gently on your hand. So the last thing you might not know about the DJI Mavic Air is that when it was being developed, the code name for it was Unicorn. I put that in the positive category because I think it's a really cool original name, and plus, unicorns are really cool, wouldn't you say? Not only are unicorns cool, we're also great FPV pilots. The horn acts like an antenna. So that's it, 12 things you might not have known about the Mavic Air. If you learned something from this video, I'd really appreciate a like and a subscription. And don't forget to hit that bell so that you can get notifications when we publish a new video. That's it for today. Looking forward to more great videos, more time flying, and looking forward to your questions and comments below about the DJI Mavic Air. We'll see you next time on Ready, Set, Drone. Not only are unicorns cool, we're also great FPV pilots. The horn acts like an antenna.